Hi class, this week you will briefly review Buddhist and scientific perspective in relation to meditation and compare the similarity and difference between Buddhism and science. From Karaniya Metta Sutta, metta meditation modulates cognitive process in a way of transforming negative aspect of mentality into positive one. It is not a rare experience to see disease cured or misfortunes warded off, even from a great distance by the force of metta, loving kindness. As the cognitive process develops from Vedana to Sanya to Samkara, the more unwholesome cognitive characters closely account for the five hindrances. However, through metta meditation, the ordinary thought process can be truncated or restricted. Therefore, this spiritual transformation reduces the sensuous desire and unwholesome thought, which result in being tranquilized with the wholesome mental status. A general perspective of cognition as a way of recognizing surrounding phenomena in a routine mode start from rupa to vedana to sanya to sankara to vijnana. Successive cognitive process on a daily basis deepens into the building of a habit. A certain pattern of mental process underlies individual personality. The fact that it requires a great effort to change the habitual tendency indicates that our cognitive scheme operates rapidly and by default. Thus, people find themselves in the stream of built-in thought process. How metta meditation shifts routine cognitive process? Metta meditation effects a modification of the train of ordinary cognitive process. An effort, by way of replacing the subject, creates happy mental state for oneself and others, in which samkara step is involved with volitional effort. Positive mental aspect of samkara develops morality and facilitates mindfulness. When metta meditation leads the practitioners to go beyond the barrier, such as discriminating upon people by virtue of loving kindness practice, meditation attainment is identified by sanya, not any other mental entity. As metta meditation keeps going on, the cognitive process becomes shortened from sankara to sanya to vedana, even to rupa. The cessation of vedana, sanya, samkara in meditation state is well elaborated in Mahavedala Sutta of Majjhima Nikaya. The stage of rupa is concentrated on the attainment of deeper meditation state. And in this class, we are not going to go into the stage of rupa. Overall, a member of the five khandhas is interrelated to the meditation progress. Meditation practice shortens the procedure of cognitive stream in this way. Buddhist meditation modulates a routine thought process in a retrospective mode. In other words, ordinary cognitive process starts from rupa to vedana to sanya to samkara to vijnana. But Buddhist meditation shifts the cognitive process from vijnana to samkara to sanya to vedana to rupa. Meditation removes the distracted mental activities and shortens the cognitive process by concentrating on certain subject, starting from happy myself, and move to happy beloved people, move to happy neutral people, move to happy hatred people, and further all sentient being. If Buddhist perspective of meditation is summarized, five khandhas is interpreted in relation to meditation, and transformation of ordinary cognitive process can take place by way of meditation. Volitional effort fixes distracted mental mode and prevents a continual repeat of a habitual thought process. In the context of meditation, the sequence of cognitive process in five khandhas is in reverse order, which results in shortened cognitive stream. This is the summary table. Modification of a cognitive process through meditation shows a certain pattern of sequential order opposite to ordinary cognitive process. So if you look at ordinary state, cognitive process start from rupa, progress to vedana, to sanya, to sankhara, to vijnana. But in meditative state, cognitive stream truncate from vijnana to sankhara to sanya to vedana to rupa. Revealing the transformation of each khandha in the sense of quality through meditation practice can be shown in this table. So far, we investigated Buddhist perspective of meditation. What about a scientific perspective of meditation? There are several pieces of scientific evidence to support the usefulness of Buddhist practice in improving mental disease. Scientists study neuronal interactions that trigger perception by way of fMRI, EEG, and PET scan. These techniques allow to see which part of the brain have what kind of function. For example, PET and fMRI detect changes in metabolism or blood flow in the brain while the subject is engaged in certain cognitive task. Also, there are clinical instances by meditation proposed. For example, MBCT and MBSR, which I will introduce a little bit later. This is the structure of a single nerve cell, single neuron. The neuron is the basic cellular unit to form all nerve system. Millions of nerve cells sense the external stimuli from the environment and transmit this information to other nerve cells for processing. The nervous system is made up of many complicated connections between neurons. Sensory neurons sense several types of stimuli coming from light, sound, odorant, etc. And they have their own receptors to convert the sensory information to the electric information. The electric signal is converted to chemical signals that transfer the information back into the electric signals in other recipient cells. How our physical body accommodates the process of cognition in the neuroscientific perspective. The information of the location of brain activity is investigated. V1 transmits visual information to V2. V2 is involved in generating spatial discrimination. V4 region senses color information. V5 has perception for motion. Two streams of visual information divided from V1 comes together in prefrontal cortex. You can see the location of V1, V2, V4, V5 inside the brain. Once I transmit visual information into the brain, V1 transmits visual information to V2, V4, V5. So if V1 cortex is disrupted, most visual capabilities are destroyed. V2 is involved in generating spatial discrimination, and V2 projects the signal onto V4 and V5. In right panel, you can see V4, and V4 region sends color information. V5 has perception for motion. V5 neurons transform motion cues into information about surface and depth. Two streams of visual information divided from V1 comes together in prefrontal cortex. The ventral system controls the object recognition, and the dorsal stream handles information of location and motor actions. Some groups of the nerve cells function together for more complex functions. More diverse relationship among cortical connections generate the two pathways. One pathway is called feedforward pathway. Feedforward pathway transmits the signal from retina to V1 to V2 to V4 or V5, eventually to prefrontal cortex. Feedforward pathway can include the occasions of false conjunctions due to illusion or incorrectly bound features. Feedforward pathway mostly covers the categories of basic level at a glance or crude types. The other pathway is called feedback pathway. The example of feedback pathway is the signal transmit from prefrontal cortex to V1, or signal from V5 to V1 or V2, or transmit signal from V5 to V2. Feedback pathway facilitate the onset of explicit cognition. During the feedback pathway, the attention focus on particular objects revises false features and identifies objects actually appeared in the scene. Here is the diagram of feedforward and feedback pathway. Red color arrow indicate feedforward pathway. Feedforward pathway receives the input and process the simple information such as shape, line, orientation, color, form, object recognition. Once the information of those attributes reach the higher cortical area, the explicit perception of the higher cortical areas returns back to the lower areas by way of a feedback pathway. So, blue color arrow represent feedback pathway. The feedback pathway allows integrating and scrutinizing the detailed information that can be hardly obtained from the feedforward pathway. While the feedforward pathway can make a mistake of cognizing the stimuli, the feedback pathway can fix this mistake by means of integration of visual information with scrutiny. In this summary table, Feedforward pathway explain an ordinary cognitive process from neuroscientific perspective, whereas feedback pathway can be juxtaposed in meditation state because meditation can be a tool to intervene in the thought process. Let's think about the common feature of a cognitive process from the two systems, that is, Buddhism and science. Processing mode of each component of five khandhas for ordinary cognitive process is not contradictory to feedforward and feedback pathways in neuroscience. In other words, feedforward pathway corroborate the inceptive stage of perception by rupa. Feedback pathway support the later stage of cognitive progression by the mental aspect of five khandha. So, in neuroscience, visual signal transmit from eye to retina to V1, V2, V4, and V5. This feedforward pathway can be juxtaposed to the stage of rupa. But the rest mental progression from Vedana to Sanya to Samkhara to Vijnana can be supported by feedforward pathway because feedforward pathway intervene the thought process. But when practitioner engage in meditation also require effort, require thought intervention. Therefore, feedforward also operate during meditation practice. Feedback pathways is more activated than feedforward pathway. This indicates that humans are engaged with interpretation of phenomena. By the same token, engaging in meditation requires making an effort. This kind of effort also requires for more activity of feedback pathway. If we consider the similar aspect of two systems, Metta meditation transforms one's cognitive process for the benefit of all sentient beings. The benefits of meditation are studied in neuroscience research, and MBCT or MBSR are clinically applied to treating patients. Similarly, neuroscience research regarding social connection by means of loving-kindness meditation implies that the logical basis of Buddhist teachings can be valuable sources for scientific research for the benefit of all mankind. What is the dissimilar aspect of two systems? There is a difference in a way of defining the meaning of consciousness between two fields. In neuroscience, humans are aware of all the sensory representations associated with these mental activities. So, we do not know our innermost thought. However, in Buddhism, consciousness exists all the time, even after this life. Therefore, in future research, the subjects for Buddhist samatha meditation can induce different neural circuits at the neuronal level. To engage in Buddhist meditation in neuroscience field, detailed analysis of meditation method, for example, different subject for concentration is required for the study of relationship between two fields. This can provide reference point for a positive mental balance to the neuroscience research as well as for the transformation of advanced mental state to the Buddhist aspect. Recently, neuroscience research realized the mind as an indispensable faculty, but there is a gap in describing the scope of mind between two systems. In Buddhism, consciousness is always concurrent with mental or physical experiences. Consciousness is one of the essential factors to distinguish the living being from the dead. Cognitive research aims at improving mental state for enlightenment by characterizing psychological and physical aspects. However, in neuroscience, consciousness is just a phenomena to sensitize a percept. Consciousness is dealt with as an independent entity from many other mental activities. Mind and matter is separated in neuroscience. Cognitive research follows neuronal coordination by different neural pathways for their specific functions. It's not easy to compare Buddhism and science because they have their own system. The main focus of Buddhist or Indian philosophers during the time of Buddha lies in human beings who pursue the spiritual liberation. Therefore, Buddhism stresses the training of the mind, pursuing the value of ordinary human experience, stress extraordinary experience for the ultimate reality, and the mind as the sense organ occupies enormous significance on human experience from early India onward. Spiritual practices coupled with knowing about the nature of reality are requirements for the realization of truth. The Indians paid more attention to an individual subject than the physical object of cognition to which the Westerners mainly attended. Westerners attempt to solve the questions of physical phenomena. Therefore, the characteristic of physicality is regarded as apart from the subjective individual one. Even though Buddhism and science has a lot of difference, let's look at the historical background to attempt to put science and Buddhism side by side. Despite the difference in the underlying idea between the East and the West traditions, an endeavor to find some clues for the phenomena of particle physics are made by several Western scientists. One example can be found in an article written by Fritjof Capra in 1974. He published a paper, Bootstrap and Buddhism, in American Journal of Physics, and he addresses Mahayana Buddhism, whose central theme is the unity and interrelation of all phenomena, comes very close to the general Bootstrap philosophy. He continues to suggest that scientific research regarding human consciousness can rely on Buddhist philosophy for a new viewpoint that is needed in modern physics today. West scientists demand proper concepts to comprehend human cognition from the Eastern philosophy, and this movement expects the possibility that the Buddhist principles can provide information with a new approach to modern science research. Another example is the Mind and Life Institute, established by His Holiness the Dalai Lama in 1983. The Mind and Life Institute is the most active research frontier to encounter Buddhism and science at our contemporary era. Recently, the organization's ongoing research attempts to resolve the barrier between the two traditions, especially as to the methodological problems. In regard to the methodological problem between the two traditions, I introduce one article titled Studying the Well-Trained Mind in Science Journal, published in 2003. Here's a typo, 2003, not 2014. Here is the article. Buddhist monk and Western scientists are comparing notes on how the mind works and collaborating to test insight gleaned from meditation. And you can see the photo showing the attendance in this workshop. And they engage in interdisciplinary research. So scientists shared the stage at MIT with Buddhist scholars and the Dalai Lama. They discussed attention, mental imagery, and emotion. I'm sending this article to you, so please read this article. It's not a long article. And this article will be part of your final exam. What could be the missing part of studying mind in scientific research? Science does not provide the reason why human beings experience some ambiguous phenomena, or how human subjects put the value on certain phenomena as well. When neuroscience research faces a certain domain beyond that which physical explanation can apply, finding alternative solution is a kind of dilemma. This dilemma can be called metaphysical problem in science field. Buddhist approach includes comprehending both conscious physical and unconscious metaphysical phenomena practically and theoretically. For example, meditation practice is a means to access unconscious metaphysical domain in which extrasensory ability is accompanied. Buddhism deals with ordinary sense experience such as physical field as well as extraordinary sense experience such as metaphysical field. So, what could be the lesson for neuroscientists to learn from Buddhism? In the context of meditation, the sequence of cognitive process in 5 khandhas is in reverse order, similar to the mode of feedback pathway of visual representation in neuroscience. With regard to Buddhist meditation as ethics of intention, the significance of morality must be emphasized in both fields. The core teaching of Buddhism is transforming mental state in a positive way and improving human well-being by altering cognitive process. So, the juxtaposition of the data from two fields reveals that the significance of cognitive process from both fields and discovers the cognitive process as the central aim of Buddhist teachings. Also, an ethical approach from Buddhists illuminate further reconciliation with different approach from science field. So, the ethical point of view from Buddhist perspective for the well-being of human in the future should be emphasized to neuroscience approach also. Buddhist teachings on meditation, emotion, and morality can provide modern scientists with a new focus in their research pursuit. Let's investigate the scientific study of meditation. Meditation practice is a powerful tool to improve mental health from depression and transform emotion from negative to positive one. This can be well explained in MBCT, mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, and MBSR, mindfulness-based stress reduction. So in next time, I will explain the procedure and outcome from MBCT and MBSR. Quiz 1. Which of the following is the common research topic to Buddhism and neuroscience in terms of morality? You can easily find the answer. Quiz 2. Which of the following represent the clinical instance by meditation? I introduce MBCT and MBSR. What is the abbreviation of these two terms? Okay, the routine task for your assignment. So, write down course code BMN 520 and date, and please use the main text body of email. Do not produce attachment file for weekly base assignment. Write down your official last name, comma, followed by first name, and you just write down 2 quiz answers. The due of this assignment is March 6th, Sunday midnight. This is the end of lecture.